Never knew it could rain so much in Argentina. It sure didn't rain like this back in Germany. It was a rainy morning in Bariloche, Argentina. Dr. Conrad Ludwig was up as usual, preparing himself a slice of toasted rye bread with marmalade and slicing some sausages. He lived in a small village house that consisted of 2 rooms. The room towards the front was his dispensary, where he attended to his patients, and the other was his private room. He stirred his coffee, assuming the day would go by quiet. It was pouring so heavily outside. Perhaps he wouldn't have any patients come to his dispensary today. He opened up a small parcel. One of his elderly patients had gifted him the day before. He had been saving this for the right occasion. Abuela Maria had been so kind to him to make him churros dipped in chocolate. These people sure have a sweet tooth early in the morning. As he enjoyed his breakfast, pondering over the condition of his patients in Bariloche, there was a sudden knock on his dispensary window. Who could it be in such rainy weather like this? I hope everything is okay. Dr. Conrad opened the dispensary. Out in the pouring rain stood a young man. The skies had become dark as night, while every flash of lightning brightened it back to day. Dr. Conrad, what brings you here in this weather? Hurry, come inside, come inside. Dr. Conrad rushed to open his door. He escorted the man inside and hurried to get some towels. You've become soaking wet. Here, dry yourself. I'll bring you some of my extra clothes. You can change into them. That's all right, Dr. Conrad. Thank you. Dr. Conrad threw some logs into the fireplace. Perfect. It will get warm in here in no time. So what is your name, young man? Santiago Fernandez. Doctor, I have come here for your help. My health has been deteriorating day by day. It took a lot of courage to travel across town to your dispensary in the midst of the storm. There is no one else here like I supposed. Doctor, I've come here because if there was one person that could cure my condition, it would be you. Dr. Conrad chuckled as he got up to arrange another mug. Only I would be able to cure you? He poured the young man some coffee and slid the mug across the table. You're such a great doctor. Everyone knows nothing but praise for you. I'm here to help. Relax and have this. It will help warm you up faster. Thank you, doctor. Now tell me, what is your problem? And how have you come to the conclusion that only I would be able to cure you? I only recently moved here. How did you get to know about me? Santiago took a sip of coffee and let out a deep breath. You were last in the village La Cumbrecita. My fiancé lives there. She had become horribly sick, and you were the one to treat her. And not just her, but you have treated many people in that village. My fiancé had only good words to share about you. You've been very kind and generous to the people here, and I believe you can help me as well. Yes, indeed, I was working in La Cumbrecita. What is your fiancé's name? Camila Diaz. Oh, yes, I remember her. How is she? Is she doing well? She is... No more, doctor. Dr. Conrad fell quiet. He held Santiago by the shoulder and tried to console him. I'm so sorry to hear that. I had gone to visit her when her condition started to worsen. Camila passed away in her sickness, and soon after I realized I must have contracted the disease from her. Doctor, I believe I would have died as well, but I've found a way to sustain myself. A cure? Interesting. What way have you found? It all started very recently that many people in La Cumbrecita were suddenly becoming sick, and they were dying from a strange disease like that we've never seen before. At first, they developed yellow fever, and the condition progressed to them becoming weak. They lacked blood in their bodies and became pale-skinned. Santiago put his hand onto the table. Pálido, like this. Dr. Conrad lifted Santiago's shirt and pressed onto his skin, examining him. Pálido, this is quite abnormal. My fiancé was absolutely healthy until she suddenly caught this yellow fever like the others. With every passing day, her condition worsened. She had become as white as a sheet. It was painful to see. While I was there tending to her, something odd happened. Mira lo que te ha pasado, Camila. Look what has happened to you, Camila. Your beautiful rosy cheeks have become so pale and white. Santiago, I don't know how much longer I have with you. No, mi amor, don't say such a thing. With proper care, you'll be better in no time. They say an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Ay, 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 see what I've done. What happened to you, Santiago? Give me that. What are you doing, Camila? I'm sorry, Santiago. This sickness has made me crazy. I accidentally cut myself, and upon seeing my blood, Camila suddenly started to behave strange. She became anxious and took my finger and began to suck the blood. I was shocked and displeased. I pulled my finger away, but I noticed her skin regained some color. Her lips took on a reddish hue, like it used to have. It was as if she had returned to normal for some time. But it didn't last long. Within a few hours, she fell sick once again. Her skin started to become pale. She became weak until her body failed her. And soon after, I started seeing the same symptoms in myself. My health was failing me. I felt like I was dying. I tried everything to return to good health, but nothing seemed to be working. But there was something I realized. I had acquired a strange attraction at the sight of blood. I remembered when Camila returned to her normal state. I wondered if it was because she had a drop of my blood. I've done a horrible, wicked thing, but I couldn't control myself. I had to figure some way to save myself. I took a life to sustain my own. There used to be a beggar who came down my street every evening. I invited him in for a meal not for him, but for me. Once I was content with his blood, I felt much better. Not only was all the pain and all the weakness gone, but I discovered I acquired extraordinary abilities. I felt incredible strength. I was suddenly able to see things that I couldn't imagine seeing before. I could not only see how a fly moves its wings, I could see the veins pumping blood into the hearts of men. I could see the heart beating within their chest. I could hear from a mile away. I could smell the slightest of scents that can't be detected by an ordinary man. But I have no need for these abilities, for this is a wicked, unholy life. I'm only able to experience these powers and good health when I feast on life, and when I don't, I become sick, pale, and weak. I lose all my abilities. It's as if I start walking to the verge of death. I don't want to live with this unholy, demonic life. Please, save me. Dr. Conrad furrowed his brows and held his head. He was bewildered by what his patient was saying. Perhaps you are right about contracting the disease from your fiancé, when your blood came into contact with her saliva, but this is unbelievable. I'm truly astonished. Suddenly, there was another knock on the dispensary window. Dr. Conrad, it's me, Felipe. Dr. Conrad got up, patting Santiago on his back. Just give me 1 minute. I think it's one of my patients. He hurried to his dispensary. Felipe, wasn't it a hassle getting here in the rain? That's all right, doctor. I rode here on my bicycle. It didn't take much time. Be careful, these roads can get quite slippery. Now tell me, how can I help you? You came to my house a few days back to treat my sister, but her fever has only increased. I've come to pick up her medicine. Oh yes, I'll prepare it for you. Santiago waited anxiously to speak with Dr. Conrad. It was in a minute that Dr. Conrad came back into the room. "I'll be with you in a moment, Santiago," he said as he opened up a cabinet. He took out a few glass bottles and beakers and hurried back into his dispensary to prepare the medication. Santiago was just sitting in his chair when suddenly he felt his urge for hunger. He looked at the cabinet that Dr. Conrad had left open. He could smell the blood in the vials that were stored inside. Santiago's body craved to fulfill itself. He hadn't satisfied his needs for a long time. He restrained himself from this kind of life for days, suffering and enduring through the pain. But when he saw the vials, he could no longer control himself. In the desperateness, he hurried to the cabinet and picked up the vials. Once he drank his fill, a sudden rush of energy exerted through his body. He no longer felt weak. His vision instantly improved beyond clarity. His hearing increased and his sense of smell took him far. But soon, guilt had him at its mercy. He slowly looked through the door into the dispensary. Through the window, he could see the man who had come, his blood rushing to his heart, beating rapidly in his chest. "Here you go. Give your sister 2 doses every 6 hours. She'll be better in no time." But what he saw next had him horrified to his core. There stood Dr. Conrad. His heart did not beat. When Santiago first acquired his abilities, he could see the heartbeat of the people around him. But he noticed something different. When he looked into the mirror, he couldn't see his own heartbeat. "He's not one of us. What have you done, Santiago?" Santiago turned around to see Dr. Conrad staring at him. You aren't a human. You've become like..." With a menacing chuckle, Dr. Conrad said, "You've made a mistake coming here, Santiago. You could have enjoyed what you have achieved, but now I cannot spare you. You've come to know too much." Conrad Ludwig was a very famous and highly educated military doctor. He served in Germany for many years working on a highly confidential and potentially lethal experiment. He and his colleagues were inventing a super serum that would be used to create an unstoppable, extraordinary soldier. However, the results that they achieved were that of an unholy, wicked, gruesome creature. "Doctor, what are you doing? There is no antidote to this. This is dangerous." "Do not interfere, Isla. This needs to be done." "Doctor, are you sure you want to do this to yourself? You saw what happened in the lab, to those test subjects. There will be no way to turn back. They have become into something else, into creatures feasting on blood. They cannot be tamed." "Shut up, Isla. Give me the syringe." "Anything for the Führer and the fatherland." Conrad injected himself with the serum, and at once he became what they all had feared. His senses heightened to an unimaginable reach. His strength was unhumanly, but the most frightening of all changes was that of his need to survive on his newly developed appetite. Dr. Conrad Ludwig was sent to Argentina, where he traveled from village to village to continue running his experiment in his service to the Führer. It was during this time that the villagers suddenly started to become sick. Suffering from lack of blood and paleness of the skin, they blamed this and they blamed that, and they looked up to Dr. Conrad Ludwig, who had come into their lives as a savior to cure them of their disease. Little did they know that they were not suffering from anything but that which Dr. Conrad had infected them with when he feasted on their blood. anything for the Führer and the fatherland. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.